Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so tonight, Gemini, we have the 10 of discs, which has everything to do with wealth, okay? Really, yeah, things coming together. Life looking pretty dang good. Meeting those goals. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's see what the tea leaves are going to say. Now, if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. Also, if you would like to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Absolutely. I read every comment and really enjoy those interactions. Okay, so it looks like we have the letters G-R, okay, G-R. Okay, so I want to start... Look at this, we have a little teapot over here. Awesome. Okay, so I want to start, let's do this one first, okay? Now we have a group of people standing right here. We have it looks like one person, two person, three person, okay? Now we also have a large bird. Oh, maybe like a heron or crane or egret, or one of these large kind of water birds. They hang out in the marshes, they hang out in the long grass. They're beautiful. I like to think of them as really kind of related to contemplation, patience, really being able to kind of take your time, be in the moment. Right? If you could imagine, if you've ever been fishing, right? A lot of it's just waiting, unless you're like fly fishing, unless you're fancy fishing and you're like fly fishing and all that. That's a whole different ball game. But for the most part, right? If you're out there, you're sitting on the dock, you're sitting in a lawn chair on the side of a river or lake or wherever. Right? A lot of it is like you're casting it and bringing it back in, or you're casting it and letting it just like sit. You have like one of those little bobbers and the little bell attached to the line and all of that, and you're just taking a nap, right? So these birds, that feeling, right, of kind of waiting for your catch, these birds have that same energy. So I feel like this is a time where there is something going on in maybe your family unit, right? Who you live with, who you're very close with, maybe a spouse, a significant other, maybe your children, your parents, whoever it is, right? Maybe it's your good friends. I have to mention that because a lot of us have chosen family, right? A lot of us have created our own families and extended families. So that is just as valid as any other kind of family, right? And so I see that there's maybe a something, right? There seems to be just a little bit of, I almost feel like it's a little bit of urgency, like a feeling of urgency. But I think it's like kind of this, and I'm trying to figure this out here. I almost feel like there's like a need to come together and really kind of contemplate, think about, plan what is the course of action going forward? So I almost wonder if this has to do with a family member or a friend or maybe an associate or somebody, right? And they're going through some trouble, some life. I almost wonder if, I have to be honest, I wonder if it's like addiction, right? Maybe another kind of health issue that they are not taking care of. It could be mental health stuff. But it might also be that they're in a relationship that they're trying to leave, or there's almost kind of this feeling of like an intervention, or like everybody kind of getting together to kind of really make it clear, like we're here, we support you, whatever you need. But I think that it's a very complicated and touchy situation. And that's why I think there's this need to come together and really kind of contemplate, how do we do this without it becoming a total mess, right? And now, if you've ever been involved in an intervention, or you've ever had somebody close to you really struggling in their mental health, their addiction, they're doing things that are maybe irrational, they don't make sense, it just, and you from the outside are thinking, well, it's so simple. Obviously this is what you're going to do. This is how we could fix this. This is, but it's not that easy, right? Now, maybe you're like myself. I've been on both sides. I've been the addict, the person having mental health issues. I've also been the person who is the support, the sponsor, the person showing up, for the interventions, and so either side, it's sometimes hard to kind of get everybody on the same page, even within the people who are trying to help, right? This is often kind of where a lot of the difficulty happens within families. Not everybody agrees on how to deal with this thing, how to try to help without enabling, or causing chaos in your own private life as well, right? And so I do feel like this is something that's going to be really important coming up here. And I feel like it's something that maybe has been stressing you. I feel like there's a lot of guilt around the situation, and really just feeling like you wish you could just like show them the way, right? Again, it doesn't work that way. So, important for you, making sure you have support, finding yourself some kind of support group, counseling, therapy, your own support people within the family, within your friends group, people to check in with, and so on, okay? I know it seems like a full-time job, and it is. It's a lot of work to manage these kinds of things that pop up within our families, within our lives. I can't think of very many people. I don't really think, I'm very involved in recovery, in the recovery world, usually. Sometimes I slack off a little bit, but I've been in recovery for like 10 years, almost 10 years. And so my mind is revolved around these kinds of conversations, okay? So I guess, not maybe if you're somebody who's not super, involved in like talking about mental health and spirituality and wellness and this kind of stuff, then maybe you don't hear about it as much. But I promise you that there are very few people in your life, right? If maybe none, it could be that there are like 0 people that have not been yeah, like involved or impacted by addiction in their own family or mental health, or even, you know, I can't say it because of the algorithm, but you know, the thing that happens when somebody, you know, decides to end their journey, okay, for themselves. And I think we've all known somebody. We've all probably had a family member or somebody close to us. And it might even be that we are those people as well, right? We've been that for other people. Other people have had to help us. Other people have had to support us, or, you know, really stick by us through some of these really difficult times that we go through when we're dealing with this type of stuff. So I feel like, you know, for you, this is something very serious. It's something that you're not just going to kind of brush under the carpet. You're not going to ignore it, but you have to also take care of yourself. That's a big, big thing, okay? We cannot help others if we are not taking care of ourselves. Now, we can, of course, but ultimately, right, we crash. We burn out. You know, we end up in our own or having our own ordeals and things come up because of it. So that's really important. Now, I want to turn this way. Okay, now, here's the deal. We have a house here. We have, it looks like a tree. We also have the face of a dog. Can you see that? That's crazy. It looks just like a dog's face. Now, for me, I'm looking at it as a werewolf. Okay, kind of that like wolf at the door. Okay, now you might be saying, listen, Lenor, you got this wonderful card, the wealth card. Okay, and that is good energy. And I agree, it is good energy. But it also comes with, yeah, kind of people coming out of the woodwork, right? Now we have the letter MS. I see that over here. But here's the thing, is that I feel like, and this maybe is involved with or separate from the first ordeal we're kind of talking about, right? But I feel like there's somebody in your life kind of showing up. And they know that you're doing well. You're at least doing better than the last time they saw you. So they figure maybe you can help them out. And I think for you, it's kind of like, I have all this other stuff going on. Obviously, I have a lot of responsibilities. I have, you know, things I have to pay for. They don't know your financial situation. They only see what they want to see, right? And so I do feel like there is somebody kind of sniffing around. And again, I don't know if this is involved with the person that we had seen before or what, but the one that is in addiction or having a mental health issue or whatever it is. I don't think that this is the same person, but I do feel like maybe related in some way, because I feel like you're maybe having to interact with people that maybe you don't talk to all the time. Maybe if you are doing something like an intervention or going around to see how your family member is doing or whatever, and it's going to kind of expose you to other people within the family, maybe people you're not close with or whatever. But I do see somebody kind of really taking notice of how well you seem, okay? And so be wary. I even wonder if this is like an ex, right? Like somebody from the past, and they're like, oh my goodness, look at them. They're balling out. They're doing so well. Their job is going well. Their little business might be going well. You're, you know, making a little name for yourself in your community. And here comes the big bad wolf to try to kind of blow the door open and get back in there, right? And I don't feel you having it at all. But what I do see is we have a woodpecker, and I feel like this is somebody who is just going to stay the course, right? They are locked in on you. So make sure that you are definitely prepared to continue to say no, to continue to kind of keep those boundaries up, keep the walls up, because I don't think this person has any kind of good intentions. They seem like a selfish person. I mean, that's the energy. Now, I want to go ahead. We're going to look at our oracle cards because we also have up here, it says ESP, maybe ESP. At first I thought it was EST. Right here we have EST. Maybe established or Eastern Standard Time. It could also be like, well, if it's ESP, right? This is kind of a psychic phenomenon. This is like the ability to, maybe prophesize or have kind of like telepathic communications or whatever. Okay. And that might be that you are somebody who is quite psychic. But I feel like right now there's just so much going on, right? Now we also have the guardian angel here. We have a person in prayer. We also have a candle of illumination behind them. So I feel like part of the calling here is to engage in your spiritual practices, to remain involved in what keeps you solid at the core, right? Not to become disheartened or kind of putting it off or, well, here's the thing. Like, we can become very spiritually minded people on a journey, doing the work, all of that. And then we have these moments where we're around our family, right? Or our friends or people from our past or whatever. And they might not really know that side of us that much, right? And I think it can be easy to slide back into maybe kind of old, outmoded versions of ourselves. And if you remain there too long, you might start to succumb to those old ways, right? It's kind of like if you grew up somewhere and you moved away, right? And every time you go back to visit your parents or your sister or whoever it is, right? You go back to the town you grew up in, you see the people you knew your whole childhood, and suddenly you are who you were when you were 15 years old, right? All these people remember all of your embarrassments, your little oddities and quirks and things, and you start to like slide into how they remember you. We kind of play these roles, I think. And so I feel like it's really important that you firmly maintain the spiritual, religious, philosophical, alchemical, whatever, magical work that you are partaking in. Make it your priority, okay? Because this is what is going to fortify you through some of these difficulties, okay? Now, I want to see what the next couple weeks are going to look like, okay? So we're just going to do about 3 or 6 cards just to kind of see what is the energy. Okay, so we have assertion, discovery, independence, defense, drama, originality. Okay. So I feel like this, it just really speaks to the same kind of stuff we're talking about here. I feel like, you know, you're a very independent person. You kind of just live your own life. And when you come back to these places where you are, I don't think it's that you're like, they don't respect. I think they respect you, but it's almost like you feel like you're treated like a kid, right? Like you never got past like being the kid of the family. Everybody treats you like everything you say is so cute. Oh, so smart. Oh, so, you know, oh, well, that would be a great idea, except that, you know, and they talk to you like this. And it's like, bro, I'm an adult. I'm so old. No, I'm kidding. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I'm like, I'm so old. But yeah, like, don't patronize me. That's the feeling that I get from you. Okay? But I think that you love your family, obviously. But when there are these kind of strained situations, scenarios, ordeals playing out, it just gets so heightened. And I feel like obviously if you're dealing with somebody who you're trying to help and they don't want the help, there's a lot of defense, a lot of drama. I feel you trying to be very assertive. But here's the thing, I feel like you do discover something about maybe yourself here. Maybe it is that you come to realize that you are somebody who is good at mediating. Maybe you're somebody who's good at trying to work with somebody to get them to move towards wellness. You know, maybe you're a healer. I don't know. But I do know that through all of this, you know, your originality is clear. But I do feel like you are finding something in this ordeal. And this is it, right? There are always blessings in our troubles. If we want to admit that or not, there are always blessings in our troubles. And even in our darkest days, we will find blessings. Let me tell you, like when I was almost 30, I had my first husband passed away. And not only did he pass away, I lost my brother, I lost my best friend who I grew up with, and I lost my husband, my first husband, his cousin passed away a few weeks after he passed away. And his cousin was one of my best friends too. We were roommates for years. And so I had all these people. And then I lost my cat as well. And that just sent me over the edge, I think. But I had all of these people who were passing. I mean, they were just, it seemed unthinkable. I mean, it really just, I felt like I was in a movie or something, a nightmare. I don't know what it was. It just, every time I had a text message or the phone rang, I thought, who next? Who next, right? And then in that time, a few months after all this happened, I ended up in a coma because, you know, I had, I don't know how to say it for the algorithm, but I had, I had hurt myself, right? And I did not want to keep going on, basically. And so I was hospitalized for a while. And there was nothing good about what was going on, it felt like, okay? But in this time, I forged relationships with people who I never thought I would be close with. A lot of my old friends kind of disappeared. people who I never really knew that well or I had just met became really close friends. Some of them still to this very day. I got sober. I learned how to be alone. I realized I don't want to live in the city anymore, you know? I found out a lot of stuff about myself because there was nothing left. Everything was gone. And it was awful. But I sat in it and I let the universe help me clear away all of the wreckage. And there was a place there to begin something else, to begin a new life. And now it's much more complicated than that, and I won't go super far into it. I'm already taking up a lot of time talking about this. But here's the deal, is that we go through these things, these ordeals in life, and I do not ever want to romanticize suffering, okay? I'm not a person that's going to sit here and say, you know, suffering is the thing we all need, or that's how you get close to God, or, you know, it builds character. You know, none of that, no. But when you are in the darkest days of your life, if you are in days that are just very difficult, days that seem to go on and it's one thing after another, just take courage in knowing there will always be a balance. There's always going to be something there. There's a spark even on the darkest nights. And you'll find it, and it will find you. Now, let's look at our lucky numbers. I'm going to do 3 of them. Okay, so we have 10. Number 10 for our first lucky number. Oops. Number 78. 48. 48. 10, 78, and 48. 48. This was my mom's. This little, it's a magnet. I remember her having it on the refrigerator when I was a kid. And I don't really have anything left of my parents too much. I have a couple books and pictures and things, but yeah, I love having that there. Every time I look at it, I think, oh. All right, so we have the Inner Child Oracle cards, and this is just going to kind of punctuate the reading, okay? And I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. Okay, number 29. Run wild. Let your inner wild child run forth. Let your inner wild child run forth. Yes, perfect timing for the weekend. It's coming up quick. Oh my goodness. I think today's still the new moon, which is just the new moon. I mean, it gets me. Yeah, it is still the new moon. So that energy, and I don't even know what day, but I think there's an eclipse this week. So I don't know, big energy, always big energy, right? Always big energy. But it feels very potent, I guess, right now. So, all right. I love you. If you want to like, comment, subscribe, go ahead and do all those things. Do one of those things. Do something. No. You don't have to, but I would love for you definitely to subscribe so you don't miss any videos in the future here. And I read all the comments. I love hearing from you, and I appreciate you. So we'll talk in a few days. Good night. Good night. Good night.